Hello, and I'd like to talk to you for the next little while on being content with your wages. In the Bible, in Exodus chapter 16, verses 11 through 17, these words are recorded. Then the Lord said to Moses, I have heard the Israelites' complaints. Now tell them, in the evening you will have meat to eat, and in the morning you will have all the bread you want. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That evening vast numbers of quail flew in and covered the camp. And the next morning the area around the camp was wet with dew. When the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as frost blanketed the ground. The Israelites were puzzled when they saw it. What is it? They asked each other. Another translation says, manna. They had no idea what it was. And Moses told them, it is the food the Lord has given you to eat. These are the Lord's instructions. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarts for each person in your tent. So the people of Israel did as they were told. Some gathered a lot, some only a little. Many times we're so wrapped up in achieving the goals that we have for ourselves that we miss the opportunity to stop and be thankful for what God has already done in our lives. God here in this portion of Scripture has said, I hear the murmurings of my children. And he tells Moses, tell my children that they'll have what they want. But then when the answer came the next morning, they didn't recognize the answer to their prayer. It didn't look like what they wanted it to look like. They said, what is it? Previously, as they felt like they were going to starve to death in the wilderness, they had said, oh, we had leeks and we had onions and we had fish to spare. But God was trying to give them something better. He was trying to give them something new, something that was going to be a whole lot better for their future. Trying to get them out of the mentality that they had created for themselves while they were in slavery. And even if we do pay attention, we focus on things so much that we don't pay attention to what we should be paying attention to. But if we do pay attention, we usually pay attention to what somebody else has. We focus on the blessing that they have or how they've got the answer to prayer that we think we should have gotten. Here at the church where I'm at, the pastor is on vacation right now. And it's been a long overdue vacation. There was a lot of things that happened in the past couple of years, and he just felt that he needed to stay here to kind of hold things together. So he's now on a vacation, and some people would still say, well, it must be nice to be able to go out and have this wonderful vacation in a faraway place, and some of the people in the church help pay for it, and so, an all-expense paid trip. How wonderful is that? But the Bible tells us very specifically to be content with our wages. As John the Baptist was in the wilderness, he had all kind of people coming to him and listening to his preaching. And then I want to explain to you what happened with a few soldiers. Luke 3:14 says, some soldiers were questioning him, saying, and what about us? What shall we do? And he said to them, do not take money from anyone by force, or accuse anyone falsely, and be content with your wages. Hebrews 13:5 goes on and says, make sure that your character is free from the love of money, being content with what you have. Most of the time when we think of blessings, we think of money. That's not always necessarily the case. We're blessed just to be alive today. We're blessed that we could get up and we can dress ourselves if that's the case. We're blessed that we have work if we have work. We're blessed that we have a car, or sometimes even more than one car. In some third world countries, you're blessed if you have more than one change of clothes, or if you have clothes that fit you, or food to put on the table. Yet we still don't know how to be content with our wages. Be content with what you have, for he himself has said, I will never desert you, nor I will never forsake you. What I want to try to convey is you need to be content with where you're at, because God has placed everything in your life for a plan, for a purpose. God has already given you all that you're ever going to need. Maybe the reason that we don't receive more blessing is because we don't appreciate those blessings that we do have. I just want to make 3 short points. Number 1, there's only 3 letters between being content and being in contention. This story was as old as Cain and Abel. Cain became contentious because his brother Abel was getting the blessing that he felt that he deserved. He wound up killing his brother because he couldn't stay content. God had even come to him and said, "Why are you mad? Why are you being so contentious, in other words? If you do well, will it not go well with you? But if you stay mad, evil is already at the door." My second point is this. We have built a culture in our country that teases and tempts us to be covetous instead of content. We raise our children and they're never satisfied because they're never told no. We need to learn the value of not getting everything we want when we want it. To work and earn those things that we receive. God has given us the ability to work, to receive, so we should put that to work in our lives. Number 3, we need to truly be content. We need to be adaptable to any situation. And Paul was a perfect example of this because he says in Philippians 4:11, "Not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. Now I know how to get along with humble means, and I know how to live in prosperity. In every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me." Now, we're really familiar with the last part of that scripture, but most people won't quote the first part. Adaptability is the key that Paul mastered to become content in his walk with Christ in the extreme conditions that he faced and we will probably never face. So I want to just encourage you to be content with the things that God has given you. To be content with the blessings you already have. Don't be so focused on everything else or on one thing that you forget about the other blessings that are around you. Your children, your relationships, your health. Learn that there's only a small distance between content and contention. Be truly content by being adaptable to every situation. I would challenge you to be content with your wages.